Hello again, and welcome to another build of the Ghostbusters Ecto-1. We are starting issue 6 today. This is stage 15, I believe. And it's another front suspension. This is the front driver's side. It's going to go a lot like the front passenger side. And yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time, but I don't think it's crazy. There's a lot of just making screws fit. We're going to be attaching this to the frame on the opposite side. Of course, we did the suspension, the first bit of the steering over here. This is going to do the other side suspension and the other bit of steering. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, so right away we're going to take the right side suspension arm, and we're going to attach a couple of pieces. We're going to start with this little guy. This is the one that has the nub on the top for the screw on the bottom, not the one with a hole through it. This is going to be secured with 2 EM screws. And again, these will just slip into the bracket. I'm just checking the fit. Yep. So they need to thread into the arm, so I'm going to get those set first, back them out, and then we'll fit the bracket. And to me, it looks like this bracket is maybe slightly bent, so we'll have to see how that works. I may have to straighten it out. In fact, I'm quite certain looking at it that it is bent. I don't know if that comes across terribly well on camera, but the one arm is bent way out of the way, so I'm going to take a moment to see if I can straighten that out, hopefully not break it. Okay, I've straightened it out. I'm not actually confident that I didn't break it. It kind of moved all in one go, so I think it's correct. But hopefully it will stay together. I don't know. So hopefully this won't get any worse. But honestly, if it does, it was always going to be a problem. Yeah, that's it together, and you might be able to see there's still quite a bit of gap on the side that I have bent around. So, yeah, hopefully that all stays in place and doesn't come apart later, because that would be a pain. But we'll find out. Next up, we are going to install that little cone piece. I still don't really understand what that does. I thought it was going to hold the spring, but then it didn't. So, and if you don't remember from last time, that's the little cone piece. That's just going to be secured with a GP screw because it is a plastic piece. Following that, we are going to go to the other arm, the upper suspension arm, which is this piece. We're going to be cutting a couple more EM screws into it to affix more brackets. The first bracket here is this one with the hole through it. Same as last time. I'm going to pre-thread these. Okay, so with that installed, we get that. On the other side, we are going to be affixing this piece, which we've seen before. This is part of what actually mounts it to the body, and I think holds the spring in, actually, in the end. Same thing. And I apologize if you can hear a lot of background noise. It's quite hot today, and I have some windows open, though the neighbors were shouting, so I had to close some of them. I don't know why the neighbors were shouting. I couldn't actually make out the conversation. I don't think it was angry shouting. I think it was just loud neighbors. Okay, now this gets oriented so that when you're looking at the inside of this, where there's the carved out space, you're seeing what I'm going to call the top of this, where the bottom has the 2 legs. Okay, so that, like I say, it ends up looking like that. You can pivot the legs that way or that way. Okay, now we're going to be attaching this to the frame. So I'm going to bring that in. And we're going to start with the upper side, using those legs. They fit in here. And they are going to be secured from the other side with HM screws. Okay, now we are going to attach the lower arm, and we use a couple of brackets to do that. Of course, it helps if I put it the right way around. So we need the 2 step brackets. Again, these have a step shape to them so that they fit over the mount points. And these are secured with 4 IM screws. Now we're going to put the brake drum together. So we're going to take a couple of pieces of brake drum and the wheel carrier and 3 HP screws. Nope, first we're going to do 2 EM screws. I wondered about that. The drums are plastic, but the carrier here is metal. So okay, now that we have the carrier on, we're going to attach the other side of the drum. That's what's secured with the plastic screws, the HPs. Okay, so there is the drum brake with a wheel carrier. Now this is going to be attached back to this piece that I hopefully haven't broken with a JM screw. And this is definitely one of the places where if this is going to fall apart, this is it. This is the part where I had trouble last time too, so no surprise here. Actually, that went much smoother than last time. Okay, so next we're going to swing this up and out of the way so that we can try to install the spring. Spring goes in here. This goes down over it. And we're going to secure from the other side with an IM screw, and once again, this is the other place where if this is going to break from the stress I put on rebending it, it's going to be here. Oh, I know why. I was going to say, it's binding up, it's not turning right, but I don't have the center rod in it yet, so the spring is overextending. Tighten these back down. Okay, second to last step here, I tried to skip. I gotta take this center rod, again this guy, and we're going to put that through the spring and secure it on the underside with an HM screw, and that will take some of the tension out of the spring, which will let this thing move more freely. Basically, that limits the maximum amount the spring can re-expand without putting it all on the wheels. It's still a little stiff, but it'll do. That's why power steering exists. Okay, so now last step is to attach the steering rod to this wheel. They're going to have me start by attaching the last length of the steering rod to the centerpiece, and then by attaching it to the wheel. So one more HM screw. Now this is going to go into that lug on the wheel. So talking, the end of this goes into that lug, and it's going to be secured from the other side with a KM screw, which are the big panhead screws, and that will complete this week's build. I did finally get a notice that my power mod for the DeLorean is shipping. So depending on what the DeLorean build looks like, I may actually pause it until I get that in, because I don't want to install the passenger cabin in the rest of it until I have that installed, so that I don't have to take things apart to rewire them. So I know I'm getting really close to that, and I was very nervous that that was going to come up. So they're cutting it very close. But that is that there. So like I say, we may see a delay in DeLorean builds. So now we got steering. And with the two linked together, yeah, it's a little stiff, but you can't really feel it. And once that linkage goes in, it's actually gonna look like this, but this is a much more boring side. This is the top. But once that last linkage goes in, there'll be an actual steering column. But that's the build for this week. Next week is, yeah, the rest of the steering, and I think actually mounting the engine and even a tire. The issue after that, or the stage after that, is just a tire, so I think I'm going to double that up so that you'll get 17 and 18 together, because I have a backlog of parts. They finally started sending me these Ghostbusters parts, and they're just throwing them out there. So anybody else who was waiting for parts, you might be expecting quite a few now. Anyway, if you like what you see, please subscribe. You can check out those playlists for any episodes you might have missed. And otherwise, have a good one, guys.